Welcome back everyone. Today I've got a Thinkscan 689BT and I'm going to show you how you can use this tool or tools like it to avoid massive garage bills in the thousands. Let's do it. Now I would imagine a lot of people that watch this channel have got vans not dissimilar to mine. Mine's a 2013 van and most of those vans are going to be pretty similar. So what we're talking about, how can we save thousands of pounds? Well, pretty much the vans haven't really changed that much from 2010 right up until pretty recently, 2025. There are some electric ones on the market now. So the likes of my van, which is based on a Renault Master, a Peugeot Boxer or Mercedes Sprinter, all got something in common. They're nearly always diesel engines. Of course, another thing that they've got in common, all these vans, from 2010 all up to now, is all these diesel vans saw the introduction of DPFs, EGRs, and other emission control systems. Now, while this in principle is a good thing, it added layers of complication and other things that you have to be aware of when you've got a van like this. Essentially, what you're actually doing is asking the vehicle, the engine, to consume a large percentage of its own waste product. Now, I'm not going to actually do the analogy, but you can get the analogy I'm going for. Now, whilst complicated and can actually give you problems, they're actually reasonably reliable, but you need to understand how they work and you need to understand how to keep an eye on things to make sure they stay working correctly so you don't end up with bills that could end up in the thousands. And this is where things like this come in handy. So what's this? Well, this is a Thinkscan 689BT, which is a sort of semi-professional grade diagnostic tool for all vehicles actually, but it's going to be particularly useful for you guys in vans that, you know, maybe don't do that many miles in them or don't use them regularly day to day. I'm going to show you the things you need to look at to keep an eye on your DPF and your emission systems within your van to keep it running healthy and avoid those big bills. So whipping open the box here, we get this nice soft touch sort of carry bag with all your bits and pieces and accessories in it. We've got an Ethernet cable, the instructions, little foam cover, the unit itself. In the rest of the bag we've got some adapter cables for the RJ45 and an ODB extension cable, charging cables, USB-C cable and an adapter for like a US plug. The actual unit itself, as I said, it's like an 8-inch touchscreen. It's quite nice. And on the back you've got a little holder for the VCI module. So this VCI module plugs into your OBD port and you can Bluetooth the connection to the screen so it can read all the settings. So at the top you've got the charge ports, USB-A and Type-C there, and the power button. So we'll just power up. And then she boots up and then we can get this thing going. So now we're all booted up. You've got the nice monkey on the screen and you've got all these menus up the top and all the testing features that you have along here. I think it's using the launch software, which is pretty commonplace for this type of scanner. And I can do a video where I go through more of these settings and more of the things you can do with this thing. If anybody would like that, please mention that in the comments and I'll see about doing a full deep dive video into this unit itself. But for today we're going to focus on the main things that we're here to do, which is talk about how we can use this tool to save us thousands of pounds when troubleshooting our sort of emission control systems on our vehicles. Now, just before we get plugged in and starting to show what this unit can show us, is it this particular style unit you need? Not exactly. You could pretty much go with anything, but it must have a bidirectional control. That just means that it's able to send and receive commands to the vehicle to perform certain parameters like DPF resets, injector coding and all that sort of stuff. But all these manufacturers of these, they generally list what the scanner is capable of doing. Now this tool itself, like I said, it's a kind of, I would say, semi-professional tool. It's actually about £400 roughly in the UK, depending on where you get it from. I would try and get one from a UK reseller because you get the updates and stuff forever, and that's kind of guaranteed. It may not be if you get a cloned one from somewhere else, so I would definitely do that. So it's on the expensive side, but here's what I'm saying. A tool like this, if you can get together with another couple of friends or family or people that may find this useful and all chip in together, this grade of tool is going to be way more useful than like a sort of just a normal plug-in dongle or one you use with an app, simply because it's got this ability to write back to the ECU and have two-way communication, so you can display all of your parameters and stuff and help you with that troubleshooting process. Right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to get the VCI module, the Bluetooth module, we're going to plug it into the OBD port on the van, and then we're going to fire up the unit and we're going to take a look at what it can do and the things you should be looking out for when it comes to your emission control system on your van. So my van, being a French built van, the port is in behind this box. You can see it there. So we just get the VCI module here, plug it into the port, you can hear it beep and the blue lights come on. So what we needed to know now is just switch the ignition on the van and then we can get the unit connected. Right, now the VCI is plugged into the port, as we just said. We are fired up and ready to go. It's got a little stand on the back and I've just balanced it on the headrest there so we can have a good look at what's going on while we're doing this. So make sure that's secure. So to start diagnostic, just hit the VIN button. It's then going to scan for the VIN of the vehicle and identify it, hopefully. And it has. It's picked it up as a Renault Master 3. Like I was saying before, this is actually a Vauxhall badged van, but it is in fact made by Renault, so that's why it picks it up as a Renault Master 3. So we hit the automatic search button. Turn on the ignition, follow the instructions. Master 3, and now it brings up a list of all the modules that you can potentially scan in the van. Like I said, I can go through all this stuff in a bit more detail in another video if that's requested, so like I said, please get your comments in down below. But what we're interested in today is the engine control module. So we open that up. I need to get a number of bits of options or information down the side. So you've got read codes, clear, actuation tests, special functions, all which are important, and like I said, we can go through. But really what I wanted to show you today is the read data stream section. And those are all the parameters that the unit can read and see and feed back the information to you. Looking for today, the key things to keep an eye on your DPF are differential pressure, particle filter, pressure differential. Currently 0 because the van's not running. We search other parameters. Regen. I'm going to try and find duration of last regeneration and kilometers since the last successful generation and a number of regeneration failures. Time, I don't think we need that really. So we OK. And that brings the values up there. We just need to add differential pressure in here as well. So we just search through like I did a minute ago and we select the things we want to be paying attention to. Hopefully you can read them. It's boost pressure, kilometers last successful generation, number of regeneration failures, particle filter pressure differential, and soot in the particulate filter. So those are things we want to keep an eye on. And we're going to start the van in a second, and we're going to look at those parameters. I'm going to bring the revs up to 3,000 revs, and you should see those values increase. We'll hold that for a second or two. And then they should start to return to normal. The key takeaways here are this information, and I'm going to break down this information for you in a second. Now, you could report this or record this information, and I'd recommend doing that, and then every couple of months maybe rerun these tests and just record this information. But let me explain a bit more about these numbers. So we've collected a load of information, almost like a baseline set of parameters that we need to keep an eye on. So let's dig into them a little bit more, and I'll explain exactly what they are. So we've got our 5 items. We've recorded that data. What does that data mean? What are we actually looking out for, as if mechanically you're minded or not? What are the signs of trouble? So let's take them from the top. So number 1 was boost pressure. So that is just measuring the manifold pressure when the engine is running. If your van is turbo diesel, which is more than likely it's going to be, you would expect to see that boost pressure increase as your engine revs increase. Now, those should basically, what you're looking for here is for them to follow and trace each other almost identically. So when you bring the revs up, the boost pressure should come up, and when the revs come down, the boost pressure should come down. Now, that's the behaviour you want to see. If it's different to that, if you don't have any movement of the boost pressure, for example, when you rev the engine, that could point to a boost leak, a turbo problem, or basically air escaping the system out of the inlet manifold, so it's not pressurising the charge boost for your engine. So that's point 1. So you want to keep an eye on that. Now, before we get on to the other 4 points we need to talk about, I need to just explain what a regeneration is and what a DPF is doing. So you have an exhaust. In the middle is a filter, not unlike a coffee filter or a big sort of honeycomb shaped filter, and as the exhaust gas comes into the filter, it sticks to the filter itself. The little particles, the NOx particles, stick to the filter, and then the exhaust carries on, travels out of there through the rest of your system and out the back of the van. So that basically reduces the amount of harmful particles in there, which is why it's called a diesel particulate filter. So to explain regeneration, what happens is, and it can be done in a couple of different ways on different vehicles, but the most common on a Euro 5 type vehicle, which is probably anything from 2010 to about 2016, is they'll go through a regeneration process. Now, what they do is they add more fuel to heat the exhaust to a very, very high temperature, usually it could be around 600 degrees. That effectively burns off the kind of soot and all the NOx particles left over in the filter, and making that, and burns that off, and so your filter doesn't get clogged up basically. So when you get people say you've got a blocked DPF, what's happening is that regeneration process either isn't working correctly or something's stopping it working, which is the key thing here. But without getting too deep in the weeds, the point is point 2, which is the distance. You don't want to see a very short distance like 10 miles or 20 miles. You would expect to see 200, 300, 400 miles before each regeneration. And point 3 is the number of failed ones, which is pretty obvious. If you've got failed regenerations, you need to investigate that cause. Now, that could be for a whole number of things, from anywhere extreme, like there's a crack in the exhaust somewhere, or right down to your external temperature sensor, like usually in your wing mirror, has failed and is reporting the same temperature, because there are certain conditions on which need to be met for the regeneration to take place. So moving on to point 4 is the differential pressure in the particulate filter. Now, this is the one that probably most people have heard a lot about. So what that means is you have a sensor, and there's a pipe one end of the filter and a pipe the other end of the filter, and this sensor measures the pressure differential between the exhaust gas entering the DPF and it exiting the DPF. That needs to be in a certain parameters. You can imagine if it's very blocked, the pressure would be huge. You would have seen when I was recording the graphs of us live data and reading the data from the ECU and the revs come up, obviously there's more exhaust gas coming through, hence the pressure will be higher. And when it drops off, it comes back down again. So what are we looking for in this then? So a lot depends on your year of your van and when you've got AdBlue and things like that. But as a general purpose, what you're looking for is at idle, ideally your differential pressure needs to be around 5 or 6 as a general guide. It can be up to 10, depends on the vehicle, but ideally 5 or 6. And then when it's under load at like 3,000 revs, you really want to be seeing sort of anywhere between 60 and 80 would show you that your DPF filter is working in an optimal fashion. And our final parameter, number 5, was soot in the particulate filter. Now you can see on mine it was 0.05 was how much was in there. That's just one to keep an eye on to get it. There's a sort of fill percentage, but it's a calculation based on the differential pressure. So it wouldn't be, for example, it wouldn't be unusual if you had a high differential pressure or an excessive high differential pressure. That soot number would also come up too. But that's an indication you've got a problem. So it should be low. It should be somewhere below 3 grams, I believe, is a ballpark thing. So it should be really low. If everything else is working, that should all be fine. So what I'm recommending is that you take these 5 parameters and any more, depending on your sort of mechanical experience, and just snapshot that situation every few months. Put it in with your camper van maintenance sort of program that you got. Like I've done a video about that before, which will be in the playlists. But that's just like every season, it's just checking your wiring and all those bits and pieces. Add it into that routine. Keep an eye on those 5 parameters. Because even if you're not mechanically minded, you can see that from the baseline, you've got a difference. And then it's worth investigating. It also can save thousands of pounds in terms of misdiagnosis and getting things wrong and paying garages to kind of do an investigation. When you've got those parameters, even like I said, if you're not good with the spanners or anything else, or you've got a trusted garage that you use, that's great. But trust me, they would be really, really grateful if you was able to go, well, actually, I've got from the last 3 months, the baselines I've got are all normal. And then at this point, when I took my next set of baselines, this was wrong. It's an invaluable tool, and it will save you hundreds, like I said, potentially hundreds of pounds in terms of diagnosis and finding out what's actually wrong with the vehicle. Now, just rounding up a second, I'd just like to point out that I'm not a mechanic. I'm not qualified in mechanics. I do a little bit myself and things like that, but I've no real expert opinion on these things. But what I have done is there's a fantastic channel called O'Reilly's Autos, which I'll link the channel down below. And Jimmy there makes videos. He's a mobile mechanic. He's like the DPF god. Now, I didn't really understand any of this when I first got the van and was completely unaware of it. But by watching his videos, I've understood how the actual system works, and probably more key, what I should be looking out for in terms of maintaining my van. And I do want to maintain it because, probably like yourselves, I spent a lot of time, money and effort in converting this vehicle, and it's a leisure thing for me, and then it holds more value than just a regular van. So as part of that, I just want to learn how I can do the best to maintain my van at a cost that remains sensible. So that's it. Those are your 5 ways to save all that money and keep your van going. Now, if you've watched all the video, I really, really appreciate it. I'll tell you what, I really would like if you could like the video, share the video, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. It makes a massive difference to these small channels. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.